Alright guys, as promised, I finally got back to get this new scope zeroed. And as promised, I'm going to bring you guys along and let you see what it'll do. So just to recap, in case you didn't watch the previous videos, this is that new build that I did, kind of a pseudo DMR gun using a 16-inch stainless Palmetto State Armory barrel and upper. Now, unlike the Poor Man sniper rifle, this one is a 5.56 chamber and a 1 in 7 twist, where the Poor Man sniper rifle is a 223 wild chamber and a 1 in 8 twist. So, gonna kind of see what accuracy I get out of this with the same ammo. I've already shot it and got it zeroed, so I got a pretty good idea what it'll do. The scope, again, is the new 2.5 to 10 Raptor from Primary Arms. Really like this scope for short to mid-range work. It's a little less magnification, obviously, than the 4 to 14R grid, but I think for the intended purpose, it'll work out fine. As I mentioned in the previous video, make sure you don't make the mistake that I did and forget to bring the 2 Allen wrenches that come with the scope when you go to zero it, because you don't put your turrets back to zero after you zero it. You have to take the top turret off and zero it internally, then put the turret back on, and you will need those 2 little small Allen wrenches. So, word of warning, that's twice now I've told you, no excuses if you forget. So that said, let's throw a couple of rounds through it, and I'll show you the accuracy, see what it's doing. I'll go ahead and tell you ahead of time, some of you are going to be extraordinarily disappointed because we're not going to put a bunch of rounds through it. As you all know, ammo is tight right now, and the only way I can put a bunch of rounds through it is if I dip into the rainy day ammo, and you know I ain't going to do that. So you're only going to get to see a couple of groups, but trust me when I say what I've already shot, they'll be pretty representative of what it's capable of. So hang on, let's get started with that. Alright guys, first out of the box, just for comparison, this is some 55 grain Hornady Varmint Express using a VMAX bullet. So I'm going to shoot a group with that, show you what that looks like, and we'll move on to the next one. Alright, let me take it in and show you what that one looks like. Alright guys, I failed to mention it earlier, but I'm shooting at 50 yards right now, just to work from there. I'll get it back to 100 later, but that's you 1 inch, maybe a little less than 1 inch at 50 yards, using that 55 grain VMAX. Alright guys, next up is my preferred social round. This is the 68 grain boat tail hollow point match from Hornady and the Frontier line. So budget ammo, but it's the same stuff that you've seen before that shoots good out of the Poor Man sniper rifle. So this is my social load, so I'll show you what it'll do. Alright guys, so there's a 4-shot group with the 68 grain. Now, it's about maybe 1 3/4 inches based off of what I'm looking at. I know for a fact it'll shoot tighter than that because the previous groups that I shot when I was zeroing it were definitely tighter. I'm going to blame a little bit of that on one of any of the following: either me, just the heat out here today, or a combination thereof, because I got so much sweat in my eyes at this point after being out here and already zeroing a couple of guns and shooting a lot that it's getting hard to even see. So this could very well just be me. Again, it's not bad accuracy or anything. I mean, 2 inches at 50 yards, that's easy easy minute a man at 100, especially for a barrel that only has, geez, 100 rounds through it. But yeah, I mean, you can see what the 55 stuff did. See what that one did. Like you always tell you, your eyes and your fingers may be able to do better than me, so don't completely judge the gun based off of that. Alright guys, so back indoors now. I wanted to do a little addendum here and add on a couple of thoughts when I'm where I can actually think and my brain is not completely fried. So note to self, don't try to make videos where you got to think about things after you've already spent half the day doing a lot of hard manual labor in 100 and something degree heat, where you have sweated to death and your brain is just absolutely fried. Got to try to remember that in the future. So in the parts you just saw, a couple of things that I wanted to clarify after I was thinking about it. I actually only have probably about 50 rounds or so through this gun. And I don't know why I didn't mention it in the earlier part, other than just, like I said, my brain's fried. I don't have 100 rounds through it like I had said. I've actually only got about 50 because it took very few rounds to actually zero the gun. So that said, in order to give it a fair shake, I'm going to do another follow-up video on this. Just like I did with the Poor Man's Sniper Rifle and a couple of others. Everybody's got their own thoughts and opinions on it. I like to have at least 100 rounds or so, give or take, through a gun, especially one like this, before I really try to do any good accuracy testing. Now, again, this is just me. I'm not saying that it's right or anything else. It's just what I prefer to do and what I like. I like to make sure that, you know, the barrel is smoothed out, you know, whatever copper fouling is going to get in there is there, etc., etc. So I say all that to say the accuracy on the gun may not change. What you just saw may be pretty typical for this particular barrel. I don't think it is, because a couple of the groups that I shot before I did the video part were actually tighter than what I showed you on the video. So it could be just the barrel still trying to settle in. It could be me. Like I said, I was literally at the point, that was like the last thing I was doing when I recorded that. And I was wiped. It had been a long, hot day. And I literally, you probably can't see it in the video, but I was having to blink a lot just to clear sweat out of my eyes and keep it from being blurry. And I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling you the real world facts is what it is. I want to give the gun a fair shake. And to reiterate, it may not do any more than what you just saw. So I don't know, but I want to find out for my own self-edification, and I'm going to bring you guys along just so you can see too, to satisfy your own curiosity should you have it. Now, as for the scope itself, right? The scope, I can tell you, based off of other scopes that I've used from both Primary Arms and other companies, the scope is it. It's there. You will not go wrong with this 2.5 to 10 Raptor. For a accurate yet fast, if that makes sense, scope with some really cool built-in features. It's there now. It's a little bit more than what some of the other primary arm scopes are that I've showed you in the past. That comes with the territory. The more features you get and the better the scope, the higher price is going to be. I still say for the money, you're getting way more for your value from primary arms than you are any other manufacturer out there. And I'll stand by that till the cows come home. So I don't remember, because CRS disease, I don't remember if I covered this in the video that I did on the scope, but like now that I have it zeroed, right, there's little buttons right here that you can press to unlock the turret. So for example, on my elevation, when I unlock it, I can go about 4 clicks up, down rather, 4 clicks down before it stops. But then when I turn it back, it locks back on the 0 position. Now to go up, I can go almost unlimited on my elevation up. But again, it still clicks back and stops on my 0. And you can also see it on the little numbers right there. Same for the windage. Only the windage you can go up or down either way, but up or down on the knob, left or right on your windage, but it's still going to lock back in your 0 spot. So if you needed to adjust it on the fly for something, you can still go right back to 0 with the way the turrets lock. You've got your reticle illumination, and then you've got your parallax adjustment over here on the side. It's dead nuts on. I mean, I was shooting primarily at 50 yards yesterday, and the parallax adjustment for it to be crystal clear is right on 50. So there you go. Gun's been 100% functional with all the rounds that I've put through it. Again, it's only been about 50 rounds. I'm normally used to having to fire more rounds than what I did to have to be able to zero one. I'm not used to zeroing it quite as quick and easy as this one zeroed. So that's probably what mentally threw me off too. What I want to do, I'm probably just going to take it back out one day when I can take my time. One thing I don't have a lot of right now, time. I'll probably just put a bunch of more 55 grain full metal jacket, just my regular practice ammo through it, just to get the round count up to around 100 rounds or so. And like I said, just kind of smooth that barrel out, polish it up a little bit on the inside, and then I'll recheck it, and then we'll go from there. But if it doesn't change, if what we just saw is all this gun will do, I'm happy with it, because I could still hit a man-sized target out to 400 yards, probably further, relatively easily, all things considered. So we'll wrap it up on that for now on this one. It's zeroed, it's running. I'll get all that stuff done and we'll bring you back for another one in the future. So there you go, guys. It's definitely an option. Something to consider if you're looking for a gun that you want to kind of make a, I've been calling this a DMR gun, and this is another point I want to make, and it's probably more like an SPR, but not in the military context of an SPR. SPR standing, for those of you who don't know, a special purpose rifle. It probably fits that role for my special purposes better than a DMR gun would, because this isn't one that I would take out for normal use. It's also not one that I would intentionally take for dedicated, like if I knew I was going to be intentionally engaging longer range targets, that would be the poor man's sniper rifle. But for special situations, maybe even more like example, exactly the class that I did last year that you guys have heard me rail about incessantly, Brush Beaters Scout Course. This would probably make an ideal scout rifle, where you've got the capability of doing a little bit closer work with it than a higher magnification scope. It's a little bit lighter weight than my 18-inch with the bipod and all that on it, but it's typically going to be a little bit more accurate than just kind of a general purpose carbine. So maybe that's more what it falls in the line of a SPR type gun scout rifle. I don't know. We can get wrapped up in the minutia of what you want to call it, when what you call it really is irrelevant. It's what you're going to do with it that matters. So, and for what I want to do with it, as is, it'll work. If it'll do better than what it's doing, then hey, that's icing on the cake and gravy. So I'm happy with it. Once again, Primary Arms and Palmetto State Armory makes a hard combo to beat. And no, they're not paying me to say that. I'm saying it because it's true, and I want you guys to be able to be well equipped and well armed to better protect yourself and your family with what I feel is coming in the world. And regardless of what you need, those two companies are two that I know I can stand behind with confidence. Take care, guys. We'll see you in the next one.